It's time for Effective Living series, and we're looking at how to develop a family plan. My guest, Letitia Ohene-Effah, Executive Director, Lead Afrique. On week 2 of Effective Living series, let me say a very special welcome to you, Letitia Ohene-Effah, and Happy New Year.
Many happy returns.
Yes, it's our first time meeting this year.
This year, right? Yeah.
I trust you're doing good.
Very well, thank you.
Fantastic. Good to have you. So we want to delve into developing a family plan.
Yeah.
First of all, what is that and why is it important?
A family plan, you can look at it as an extended version of your own plan,
Okay.
right? I believe sincerely that every family, there's a reason why we come into every family. So you find yourself in a family for a particular purpose. Every family should have a vision and a mission.
Right.
And I believe it was Mother Teresa who said that the way you heal the world is to start with your own family.
Right.
So if we're all here out in the world working, doing things, then the way to fully manifest that which we want to get would be to start with our family. So that's where it starts from, and that's why it's important to do so.
Very important. So how do we go about it, and what are the benefits if we develop the family plan?
The benefits for developing the family plan, let me start with that, is that you're working together in harmony. There's people are not feeling stressed or burnt out. You don't feel that the conflict is too stretched, because sometimes there may be overlaps, other times there may be people who need to support others, there may be time constraints, and therefore you need to marry all of that together. So how do you when you do that and you put it in a calendar format, then you're better able to support one another in the best way possible, based on the skill sets that you have.
So we have different types of families listening to us. Some are young and coming together, others are very old and large, some are small, some have great-grandparents, young, and great-great-grandchildren, all of them living in the same compound. Others are scattered all over the world or even across the country. So how does one develop a family plan? Does it cut across sizes, types, frames, scope?
So I'll use a framework to help our listeners to make it easier for them to follow through the conversation. So I'm using thrive, and the word is intentional because it connotes action, like act, go and achieve. So we're thriving together as a family.
Nice.
Right? And the T is to take stock. So you talked about different family systems that we have. And within that family systems, you have different ages, different personalities, different needs, different everything going on at the same time. So you need to take stock. Where are we now? And then you need to scan your horizon. What's happening in the world around me? Just yesterday, I think over the weekend, we realized that fuel prices had dropped. And I think Citi put out a comparative analysis of last year's fuels versus this year. We went to the pump once and we insisted that the fuel tank was not full because the money was lower, right, than what we're used to. Only to realize that fuel had dropped 5 cedis, right? So
you spent much less.
Yes, you're spending much less. For me as the consumer, for the retailer, they are buying, and perhaps by the time they have to sell, the price has dropped. So they're losing money. So you need to scan your environment to know. So if you have a family member in that particular area, you know, for example, that you need to support them more because they may be going through a lot of anxiety, etc. So there are things happening in the world, in and around you. A school system changes, the calendar changes. Those are things that you need to take, you need to scan the horizon for. So you can plan better to mitigate whatever risk that would come with it.
So scan the horizon.
So the first one is take stock of where you are today. Scan the horizon. What's happening in and around you? And how could it possibly affect you? And then the third one, which is the R, is reduce your risk. Of course, when you found out what your strengths are, your weaknesses are, the opportunities and the threats are, you need to work to mitigate whatever risk is associated with opportunities that you want to take. So for whatever steps you choose to take, what are the possible risks and how do you mitigate them? So that's the third, which is the R. Then the I is invest intentionally. For those of you who, there's been a number of conversation about setting goals, etc., throughout the Effective Living series. And we have an expanded version of this on our website as well as Leader Freak, so you can go to that. But we look at 10 critical domains of your life that we believe that you need to intentionally set goals around. Right. So you need to invest. And within these 10, when you've done your analysis and assessment of where you are, then you choose about 5, which will have like a snowballing effect in the other categories or domains of your life, and work on them. Okay. Then you come to the V, which is your values and vision, right? You always need some anchor. So your values are that which keeps you grounded, and the vision is where the family is going. Where do we want to go? So the family wants to go somewhere, but individually, everybody is at different stages of life, and they're all contributing to their own vision as well as the bigger family's vision.
Fantastic. So you must have values that are clear to everyone in the home. What is allowed, what is not permissible.
And then you need to discuss them all the time, especially when your children are growing. Okay. Even when they were younger. So we let our children lead, for example, lead the conversation. Okay. And we're asking ourselves things like, is it still relevant? Okay. If it is relevant, what does it sound like? What does it mean when we say we're living this particular value? Okay. What does it mean when I'm interacting with somebody, when I'm taking decisions? Right. How do I make sure that I am living my values? Right. Because oftentimes what we say is our value is completely opposite what our actions are, right? So you need to make sure that you can visualize what that value is and how to live it in order for you to work with it.
It's interesting the talk we are having on values and vision. No? In recent times, I'm reflecting on something I took notice of during our childhood. You know, our dad will always inform our mom when he was going out exactly where he was going, to the extent that when our mom was not around, he would tell we the children where he was going. But when we became teenagers, I mean, when you're stepping out, they ask you, where are you going? You're like, I'm a big boy. You don't need to ask me where I'm going. But you get to realize that it goes beyond security to instilling accountability. Exactly. So at all points, people must know where you are. And even when you come back, you must let everyone know, perhaps, what exactly transpired where you went.
When you're a teenager, you think that's control and controlling. Exactly. Right? But it's just accountability. Exactly. And that's what that is. So, and the final one is E, which is execute and evaluate.
Execute and evaluate.
Okay. And this is where the work is, right? Okay. So you've looked at all the 10 domains. Now you need to execute the ones that you have chosen. You are setting goals around. How are you going to make sure that every single day, every single week, you're doing something that will bring you closer to the achievement of that goal?
Doing something every single day that brings you closer to achieving the goal that you set for yourself.
You know, we currently have only about, I think, 242 days of the year left. Really? Let me explain. So we started out the year with 365 days, right? But out of the 365 days, there are about 100 and we've already spent 13. Take today out. We've already spent 13. There's still about 100 weekends. So if you don't work on weekends, that's 100 days gone. Then we still have about 11 holidays. So out of the 365 days, we currently only have about 242. So if you're not paying attention to momentum and keeping up the momentum, it doesn't mean you shouldn't be gracious to yourself. Listen to your body, but that's why you set goals across the domains, so that one is not suffering over the other too much. There are days when something has to give more than the other, but when you've done your total domain, then it helps to pay attention to it. So you're evaluating every week, you're checking, what did I do this week to draw me closer to that goal that I set to achieve?
So beyond the personal, is this something you do every weekend or at the end of every week with the family as well, reviewing this business of taking stock? How frequently should you be doing that?
It depends. I would say twice a year. Okay. However, if you're working on a project together, it should be more frequent. It depends on also on the needs and the demands of the project. But minimum twice a year. Okay. What helps is quarterly. It just makes it easier because majority of children have termly. If you have a uni student, of course, they do more semesters. But it helps, even with a semester, it still helps to do the quarterly. Because no matter what happens between January and March, there will be a family gathering. Between April and June, there will be a family gathering. So it helps if you use the quarterly system to do these evaluations.
So we are talking about how to develop a family plan. My guest is Letitia Ohene-Effah, Executive Director, Lead Africa. And so far we're going through a framework that's very simple to remember. Simply thrive. And with T, we are saying take stock. Where are we now? What has brought us here? Where are we going? And then when you're done, scan your horizon to see the changing circumstances in which you are living, and then work the differentials into that goal you're setting. Then reduce your risk, as in, for every opportunity, you are taking advantage of. There are risks involved. So see how you can collectively reduce those risks and take advantage of the opportunities.
You're a good student.
Thank you. And then we're looking at investing, right? After you've reduced your risk, you need to invest intentionally. And I'll come to some of them so you can throw more light on them now that we know what the framework is. Have values and vision. So the values will hold you together. The vision... So the vision is where you're going, but the values will anchor the vision.
Exactly.
Did I get that right?
Exactly.
So that you don't get swayed, you don't get moved by different things. You know where you're going, and your values are holding you down.
Not every opportunity is an opportunity that you must seize, right?
Absolutely.
So if you have a vision, the reason why some of us just keep swaying, is because, and do that pendulum, is really because we don't have a vision.
True.
So everything looks good.
Right.
So today somebody is selling something. There's a new business.
We are going for it
because we believe that, you have the capital. The entry isn't as expensive, so let me go there.
True.
Somebody does this, so you run around in circles.
A swaying pendulum. No vision.
But you need the vision to make sure that it has to be in alignment. For example, I don't do things that do not grow a person.
Right.
So before I say yes to anything, I need to make sure that that's my vision, right? Cultivating a new generation of leaders for Africa. So if it is not in alignment with that, I simply would say no, thank you.
You're not doing that. Because you have a vision.
Because I have a vision.
I
must stay focused.
Right. Yeah. Otherwise, it's a no.
Yeah.
You're not feeling bad about it. Because it doesn't align with your vision.
I'm not apologetic about it at all.
I like that. The difficult part you admitted yourself, the one that's difficult doing is the execution and the evaluation. Yeah. Because you can always take stock, you can always scan the horizon, reduce your risk, invest intentionally, and have your values and vision, but the execution.
The scanning your environment.
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't do that.
Okay.
And it's because perhaps we don't know. But there are multiple things that would affect us this year. For example, depending on the work you do, we already talked about the fuel prices dropping.
True.
You look at Ghana today, there's perhaps another 1 or 2 by-elections coming up. That in itself will destabilize a number of people.
Right.
There's internal party politics happening this year.
Correct.
It's very likely to either slow down certain decisions based on whether you're in or out.
Okay.
So these are things that affect you as an individual and an organization,
in fact, with the whole change
whether
of
you like it or not.
Some households have had a different turn of events because some have been sacked, some have been appointed, new things are happening, so you need to scan the horizon.
Even if you're within it, you still need to be aware because it is going to have, I said we have 242 days, right? So if there's some decisions that need to be taken in certain areas of your life that is aligned to this, then you need to know that you have fewer days to get those decisions taken.
Very interesting. We have 242 days because there are about 100 weekends. I didn't even think about it that way, you know? We're just going.
I tend to be I'm very big on productivity.
Wow.
So I think through these things.
Very interesting.
So it's important that people scan the environment. There's so much happening within you, in and around you, that you need to be in awareness of.
I like that. There were some 10 critical domains that you said we should look out to when we're investing, and then focus on some 5 areas. I'd acknowledge Petra Trust, Hallmark Freight and Consulting Ghana Limited. They are sponsors for the Effective Living series. You're hearing the voice of Letitia Ohene-Effah. If you're watching us online, the beautiful face you're seeing belongs to Letitia Ohene-Effah. She's the Executive Director of Lead Africa International, and we're discussing how we can develop a family plan, regardless the size of the family, whether it's new, big, small, old, you can always develop a family plan. And we have gone through a framework of Thrive. Now I want us to spend a bit of time looking at the 10 critical domains for investing, and then the hack for keeping yourself disciplined in executing. You're very big on productivity, so you can help us with that.
All right. So for the 10 critical domains, we can start with financials, right?
Great.
Once upon a time, it was said that we need about a 6-month buffer to sustain your level of lifestyle should something happen to you. COVID taught us that you need about 2 years, right? So we all need to be mindful based on the different needs of the family, the individuals and the collective. You need to recognize how much money do we really need? How much money are we spending? So this is where budgeting is important. How much are we spending on household? And I think once upon a time we did a very thorough budgeting thing on that. And if we have to, we can do it again. But it's important to even know how much you're spending on your dogs. Because it adds up. Every penny adds up.
Right.
So that you know, if this is how much I'm spending, how much am I making? Where is the variance? How do I make up for it? So people need to know that. Of course, you need to save, you need to do some insurance and to invest as well. So that's
family
finance.
Insurance, very important.
Okay. That's important to do. Then there's career, there's work. I believe that when we start, everybody should do a skills audit. It's important. If you're in a career, how are you bringing value to the space? And if your child is, for example, going into a space to do an internship, something, how do they even learn about the organization so that they know where the organization is struggling and what they can add to it? And if you're staff, you must do same. So you do that from home, and it snowballs into the office and to the society, right? So you need to know that as well. What new things must you learn in order to be better at what you do or better at what you want to do? How do you fund or fuel your dreams and that vision? Then there's health and fitness. I just had an interesting conversation with Dr. Goldie when we were waiting because she's here to talk about cervical cancer. So simple little things that we don't know. You're a female. What age are you? You're a man. What do you know about yourself? What are the risks? What age are you? How are you eating? What exercises are you doing? What is it? How do you want to make sure, if you're blessed till you're 100, do you want to be holding a stick? Do you want to, what does that look like for you? And you must start from today. So you begin with the end in mind for that. The meal plans that is aligned must be aligned with your goals. Then you look at intellectual, which is a bit different from the career and work, right? So you may be like a doctor, but you have multiple clients in diverse industries. And sometimes through networking, you must be able to have certain conversations. We're just talking about politics. I'm not a politician. We're talking about the energy sector. I'm not in the energy sector. But it has an effect on my lifestyle. So I need to broaden my scope.
So that I can better consult my clients based on their area of expertise and their line of work.
And I can better make sure that my goals, I can achieve my goals, even if it has a negative impact, because I'm mitigating my my risk, right?
Letitia, there's a question I want to ask with respect to, so we want to see someone over the weekend and was talking about how a family is tearing apart simply because gentleman has been promoted. He has a lot on his desk to clear. Lady is pursuing a master's. No, so the fight that they are fighting is who will pick up the kids. So it's three. Someone needs to pick up the kids. Lady says, I'm going to school. Gentleman says, I have a lot to clear. And it's a back and forth that they are having. So you can tell that even growth at some points can affect or impact harmony of the family.
To take stock.
Yeah.
So if they had taken stock of what is to come, that's why we do these things, right? It's not just for fun. So throughout, maybe during the year, I haven't been promoted yet, but it is likely, or I want to be promoted. So you make sure that you work for it, deliberately work towards it. If that is the case, how do we support the young people? Is it that we get a support system at home, a domestic support system? If the children are females, does a female sit in the vehicle to go pick them up? How do we manage that? Intentionally. You need to be intentional about life all the time.
Otherwise, even your blessings will become something else.
Thank you. It becomes a chore, right? So currently, they're fighting and they're losing each other because of growth. So it's supposed to be good. Something that you have to celebrate now mars your relationship, and you don't want that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't want that. So that's why it's important to think through all these domains.
Very important. So we've talked about the financials, we've talked about career, work, we've talked about things to learn, we've talked about health and fitness. We're saying begin with the end in mind.
So we've looked at intellectual.
Exactly. And then there's the intellectual
spiritual.
Spiritual.
Spiritual is important because everybody believes in something.
Yeah.
So whatever it is you believe in, you must grow in it, right? So what relationship and practices do you want to anchor to? Do you want to just be a churchgoer? Do you want to understand the word of God for yourself? Right. Do you want to have a personal relationship? What does that look like for you and for the rest of the family?
Great.
For some, we will choose to read the Bible together.
Absolutely.
You should know that some have more time, some don't. Right. So maybe somebody wants to read 5 chapters a day, but you realize that if we're doing it together as a family,
it will strain the
perhaps could only read a chapter a day, and it is okay.
Right.
So what is the critical thing that you're trying to achieve with that?
Great.
Makes it easy for you to decide that I won't do 5, I'll do 1, and we'll do 1 together.
Letitia, where and how can we reach you or find you? Because there's so much we can unpack from you, but indeed within this short time we've learned so much more. But if we want to reach out to you, how can we get to you?
I think you can just go to Leader Freak International's website, and then we have Leader Freak TV on YouTube.
Okay.
And you'll find a number of amazing information there. I somehow knew that we won't have enough time to unpack all of this as well. So on Sunday, we're offering a free online session for an expanded version of this.
To develop a family plan.
Absolutely.
Great.
So you may go to the YouTube page, send us a DM on any of our social media platforms. You will get the registration form, and then you can register as well.
Beautiful.
And,
beautiful. So there's more to get on how to develop a family plan, but that's been an amazing conversation we've been having with Letitia Ohene-Effah, Executive Director, Leader Freak International. Thank you so much for passing through.
You're welcome.
And helping us develop a family plan.